If you've ever seen a cat on the street in a German speaking country and had the irresistible urge to go, here, kitty, 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 and then it occurred to you that you don't know the word for kitty in German, this is the video for you.
And this is important.
We are talking today about German diminutives. So basically, how to make things cute in grammar form. Now, these can be used to make something cute, to create a nickname for your significant other or a child or a friend, whoever you want, or just make it sound little. In English, this would be kitty, doggy. You can do it with furniture or anything you want. Little table, little car. So usually in English, you add a Y to make it cute. And in German, it's similar. You have to add an ending. There's just a few other bells and whistles that go along with that. So the first thing you need to remember is that there are, I would say, 4 main endings that you can add, and 2 of them are in wide use. And I would recommend that you learn those. And 2 of them are just more regional. Regional and good to know about. But we'll go over those 2 so you have a good idea of what the cute endings are in case you encounter any of them. So the first ending that you should be aware of is from Switzerland, and it's "li." So you just add "li" to the end of something to make it cute. And that comes along with a requirement to add an umlaut, but we'll discuss that in a little bit. Now, in Austria, there's another ending that's pretty common, and that's the "erl" ending. E-R-L. Erl. Yeah, just add that ending on, and it's cute. The 2 most common endings that you should learn for sure are "line" and "shen." And you may have already seen words with these endings because some of them just kind of got ingrained, like Mädchen. Mädchen, that's like a little maiden. It's from the old word "mugged." And it's just like a little mugged, little Mädchen, little maiden. Let's go over how to use these exactly because you can't just slap it on the end of the word. There's a lot that goes with it. And one of the first things you are going to want to remember is that no matter what the gender of the original word is, when you make it cute, it turns into a DOS. So anything with a line, shin, arrow, li ending, those are going to be DOS. I actually had a friend in school who spoke German as a second language, and she would add "shen" to the end of things just so she knew what the gender was, which I would not recommend, but it did make everything in her life sound super cute. Let's start off with Errol because Errol is regional and kind of unique in that you do not generally need an umlaut to go along with that, and I'll explain later. But basically, you can add "erl" to the end of anything. No umlaut. Um, Now, I did say anything, but you do need to pay attention to the ending. If the word has an EL ending or an E ending, we're going to have to remove that before you add the ERL. Okay, let's use the example of the mandel, which is an almond. It ends in EL. If we want to make that cute with L, we would remove EL and call it a mandel. Mandel. Mandel, which makes sense. I mean, imagine saying Mondelural. Mondelural. That's a tongue twister. No one wants that. So just remove the EL and add the ERL. Simple. Now we talked about Katze in the beginning. How do you say kitty? If you want to use ERL in the Austrian way, you would need to remove the E. Katze, Katzerl, Katzerl. Remove the E, add on the ERL. And then you're good. So let's move on to Shen, line, and li because they take similar forms. And Shen and line are the most common, so we'll start with that and then just add on li. Okay, let's start with an example using the word bear, which means bear. Now, the first step you're going to do when you want to make a word cute is add the shen. Shen. So it's Bärchen. And that's actually all you need to do for this particular word. But additional rules apply depending on what the ending is and what the vowels are. So let's do endings first. If it has an E or an EN ending, you have to remove that before adding the shen. So if we have E Katze, we have to remove that E before adding the shin. So it's Katzchen. 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 And it doesn't stop there. Every time you add the shin to something, you have to check if there is an A, O, or U in it. So, Katze, it has an A. Okay, since we've added the shin, we need to add an umlaut over the A. So, Katzchen, Katzchen, Katzchen. And then you're done. Das Kätzchen. If it's plural, it's die Kätzchen. And the reason we did not do that with bear was first of all, it didn't have an E ending or an EN ending. Second of all, it did have an A, but there was already an umlaut. So if there's already an umlaut, you're good. You don't have to add another one. And this umlaut rule has a few exceptions, unfortunately. Let's talk about German diphthongs. You have EI, IE, AU, EU, and AI. Now, the EI and the IE, you don't need anything for that. The AU, you would add an umlaut to the A, but not the U. Anytime you have a diphthong like this, and U is the second letter, you will not add an umlaut to it, no matter what. But with AU, you add the umlaut to the A. With EU, no umlaut. Can't put it on the E, can't put it on the U. With AI, no umlaut. And it's not logical, but it's just the way it is, unfortunately. It might have something to do with pronunciation. We can try that maybe in an example. So, let's say you have two vowels like par, par. If you wanted to say that, that par means pear, so the cute little pear, like the cute little couple walking down the street, you would remove one of the vowels and put an umlaut over the other one. So it would turn into Pärchen. Pärchen. Okay, so hopefully your head isn't spinning now. Just take a breather. That's shen. Now, line follows a lot of the same rules, and the ending line is not used as frequently as shen. It sounds a little old-fashioned, and I personally just think it's more of a backup for when it's hard to pronounce the Shen version. Like if you have SCH or CH or G on the end, it's kind of hard to combine it all together. Um, let's think. Tish, tish, shin.
Hmm?
That's awkward. So if you want to say cute little table, you can use line and it flows. You could say Tischlein. And there's no umlauts. Why? Because there's no A, O, or U in it. So it's just Tischlein. Um, let's say Frosch. Frosch, frog. You could say Früschlein, Früschlein, but you would need your umlauts because there's an O. So that's line for you. It's pretty similar to Shen. And Li is also similar to Shen in that you will be adding umlauts and then you add the Li on the end and you're good. But Li is only really used in Switzerland. You're not going to hear it a lot in Germany or Austria. I'm not sure because they're really close geographically, so it might bleed over a little bit. That's Li for you. Just add a Li. Okay, so let's do some examples to give you an idea of how this works. Let's say you want to talk about the cute little house. You have an AU. There's no E ending, there's no EN ending. So we could just put a CHEN on the end and add an umlaut over the AU. Häuschen, Häuschen. And that's it. It's das Häuschen or die Häuschen if you have multiple houses. Let's think of another one. Maybe Hai. Hai is a shark. Well, we have to think about this. Haichen. Haichen makes sense to me. Let's say high line. What about mouse? You could add the shen, and then we have an AU in the middle, so that would turn into Mäuschen. You would have an umlaut over the A. What about Hund? You could say Hundchen, Hundchen. You would add the shen and have an umlaut, Hundchen. Or you could say Hündlein, Hündlein. That would also be phonetically pleasing. Hunterl, 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 Hunterl. I have a hard time pronouncing the L. Or you could say Hunterl, 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 Hunterl. Yeah. You could say Fliegchen for fly, Fliegchen, Fliegchen, Flieglein, Flieglein. Options are limitless. Now that we've discussed how to do this, I want you to come up with a diminutive yourself. I want you to take one word for whatever you want, it just has to be a noun, and make it cute in the comments below. Let's share some of our creative ideas. And I'll see you in the next video. Tschüss!